That's right.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another edition of our weekly real estate backstory. My name is Alan Richardson. I'm the managing broker here at Maximum Realty and Realtor Partners.
My name is Ming Richardson, the compliance broker for Maximum One Realty and Realtor Partners.
And we do the real estate backstory every week, trying to keep you up to date about what's going on, the comings and goings of the real estate world,
Absolutely.
what's happening here in the Atlanta market. So we kind of want to start off with a little bit of a discussion kind of thing about what we're seeing, some things happen in the market. And right now we're seeing and we're hearing a lot about sellers that are getting anxious. They feel like they're missing out on the market. And the thing is that we need to be ready to do is to educate our clients. Like, is the market going through some kind of a shift? It absolutely is. And so what we're seeing are a lot of sellers that really kind of felt like, I can just throw my house out there, no problem at all. You can't.
You
and
can't.
we're still seeing a ton of activity going on, but the days of I'm going to put it out here at some crazy high price and it's going to sell.
Expected absolutely nothing.
Yeah, or like I can put my house that needs repairs out here at a full price listing and then get all of a sudden very worried and anxious. Well, down the street they sold. Well, down the street had granite and fresh paint and carpet, that kind of stuff, and you've still got the ugly 70 disco shag
Original
going on.
builder gray.
Okay, we'll go with that.
It was popular back then.
Yeah, long time ago. All right, but the kicker here is that we need to be the ones that's educating our clients, because are we seeing a shift in the market going on? We are, and we're going to show you some of the numbers that's going on and what's happening in our market. But first of all, I don't want you to think that it's nearly as bad as the news makes it out to be. And so don't talk yourself into believing that the market is just tanking and that kind of stuff, because that's not what's happening in real estate. So we kind of want to kind of jump into there with it here. So before we get into that, I found some really interesting information that I think that we need to be conscious of here in Georgia. And so this is what percentage of Americans, older adults, have increased, that are folks that are 65 or over. What percentage of your state has it? And so that's going to kind of dictate, and this is more of just a common sense kind of thing. So like here in Georgia, 56% of occupants here in Georgia are 65 or older. And so that means that's going to be that's going to influence our housing market, right? And we already see like the demand for ranch houses is already really high. A lot of the home features that really appeal to the retirees and that kind of stuff, that's going to be really a driving force in our market, much more so than, say, even if you just look at Alabama. Alabama's has almost half the number of retirees. So Georgia is like a big hub where we have a lot of folks that move down from the Northeast, that kind of stuff. The whole Sun Belt gets a lot of folks that move down.
I mean, we're much higher than Florida.
Everybody thinks that the old folks go to Florida, right, to retire. No, they're stopping in Georgia and hanging out here.
Well,
so
between Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, because the weather climate is just, you get all four seasons at the same time. And
at the same time, yeah. Sometimes it is that way. If you don't like the weather in Georgia, just wait a day.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
So,
but we don't have any kind of great insight on this other than to say, look, we have an aging population that is going to impact our housing market going forward. So paying attention to how that is, that's really smart for us to be looking at and paying attention to right now.
In a way to business.
Yeah. All right. Now, oh yeah, that's right. So
well,
it's another great.
You're talking about services and stuff like that. So the
well,
service clientele, and it wouldn't surprise me if the law changes to where that it benefits the elderly because the fact there's more demands.
But we're going to have more senior home buyers, more senior home sellers, that kind of stuff too. All right, interest rates. Let's jump into interest rates. So interest rate came in this week at a 5.81. Now that's up like a tick. It was 5.78 last week. So it has been moving, anytime the Fed has their rate or a discussion, and they raise the federal funds rate, that threw the markets into disarray, which drove a lot of things. But one thing that we're seeing, and it's a little bit of a concern, is ARMs. The ARM rate is actually comparatively pretty low when you look at the two. And so we're seeing that the demand for adjustable rate mortgages is really
It's much higher.
It's much higher than we really want it to be honest with you, kind of thing. So and so we're seeing where that is one of those things that kind of worries us a little bit. This kind of echoes back to the Great Recession time that we had, when we had a lot of folks that had adjustable rate mortgages. That helped to really drive that. And the challenge, though, at the same time is we're seeing where the spread between on the arm, between the 30-year mortgage versus the adjustable rate mortgage, that spread, if you look at where it's at right now compared to where it has been, there's a huge spread right now. So it's really appealing to a lot of folks, but it's one of those where we want to make sure that they understand that, like,
there's recourses after 5 years, because if not, then they're going to be stuck with a much higher interest rate if the market dictates at the end of 5 years. And not only that, they're not paying off any principals.
Well, with a 5/1 arm, the first 5 years that rate's not going to change, but then it's going to change at that point. Now, one thing that we do agree with in lending in general is, and I think our friend Shannon kind of pointed this out this past week, marry the house, date the rate. We are going to see rates dropping off, and I think it's a really smart move. But if I can influence you or encourage you to not go towards the arms rate, go towards an adjustable rate mortgage, I think it's a much safer way to be.
It is safer if you plan on staying for a long time. But if you're looking at short time, arms.
There is a small market where that does make sense. You're right. We wanted to share something that came out that was brought to our attention. So the Consumer Product Safety Commission recalled about 1.5 million Schneider Electric panels. Now, Schneider Electric, we don't know that name, but it's Square D panels. And so Square D is heavy in a lot of our new construction homes. These are panels that would have been put in between 2020 and 2021 kind of thing. And it's about 1.5 million of these. So there's fire and safety issues going on with them. So if you sold a house to clients in the past couple of years, new construction, and they've used these panels, please encourage them to go to Consumer Product Safety Commission. They can go and see if their panel is listed in there. It's just one of those things that we need to be very conscious of.
And that was just recalled this past week.
Yeah, so this week.
It's well, actually, about past week.
Yeah.
So it's fairly new.
Well, very new. And one of our electrician called us and said, "Hey, you might want to be letting your clients know and tell other realtors." So,
well, public service announcement. Yeah. There we go.
PSA. All right. Active listings are showing year-over-year growth. It's inventory rebounds. We see this these kind of headlines out here. And so, this is from the National Association of Realtors, and you can see that, like total active listings are up 21%. By the way, that's a rolling average. And so, but look at days on market, still down. New listings are up 6%. However, median list price, this is of course the NAR, up 17%. Well, I thought this whole thing was inventory is increasing, so prices are going to drop. No, that's not what we're seeing at all. No.
Well, because if you think about inflation, the way inflation is right now, there's just no way that you can maintain and build the same house for the same price. So it depends on your market area. That's going to dictate what the value of property is. So,
I just shared with you the Realtor.com one from Redfin. You can see that Redfin's median sale price is, the way that they're tracking it, is 14% year over year. So we're still seeing a
uptick,
high sales price that continues to. We're still seeing positive appreciation in properties. Now, what we are seeing is a slight drop in the median asking price. When I say slight drop, okay, the median asking price is up 16%. Okay, that's the one that we were just talking about. However, if you look at the trend, it was 18%. So it is dropping down some. But when folks look at these numbers, they're looking, oh well, it dropped by this percent. Well, really, it's still 16% higher than last year, and even though the sales price is only 14% higher than last year. Pending sales, this is a number you're going to hear heavily out there. Pending sales is down 9.7 year over year, and so you think, oh wow, that sounds terrible. When you look at where we are, I mean, last year was like the phenomenal year of real estate, like one of the best years we've had almost ever, actually ever, yeah. So the fact that we're down from last year, but you can see where we were
And the reason last year
Yeah,
was such a phenomenal year, think about it, interest rate was so incredibly low. And therefore your monthly payment, it doesn't make sense for you to
yeah,
go rent when you can pay $300 or $400 or $500 less monthly mortgage or versus rent.
yep. Now, new listings of homes. Well, here's an interesting one. New listings are down 2%, kind of thing. However, the rolling average is a little bit different. If you look at the active listings for homes for sale, that is down 4.7%. So we have less homes on the market now
Mhm.
than we did last year and the year before. Now, are we starting to move up to an inventory level that was where it was last year?
Absolutely.
We are, but guess what? What did we all talk about all last year? Oh, there's no inventory. We need houses. There's no inventory. We're still below last year, and all of a sudden everyone's like, "Oh my
Well,
gosh, the inventory is increasing so much."
what caused last
Ah,
year's surge was interest rate. Once again, that
yeah,
interest rate does a lot of things for a lot of buyers.
but you can see here. This is in new listings in the Atlanta market. The number of listings that we've had for the past 4 years
Mhm.
or 3 years plus this year, kind of thing. All right, like we're still on the low end of new listings. And year to year, we're still low. We have less inventory than we've had in past years. Now, to show this another way, I wanted to show you what our existing inventory level of homes is. So if you look at back 2018, 2019, and then 2020, yes, have we seen an uptick in inventory moving in? Yeah, we have. Are we still well below anywhere where we've been for the last 2.5 years? Absolutely. If you want to look at it a different way, this is Harvard releases a housing
Mhm.
survey kind of thing, and so this comes from their housing survey. You can see this is supply of homes on the market for the past 22 years right now. And so if you look at this, you can see that we are lower than we've ever been.
Yeah.
And so are we going to start seeing a slight uptick in inventory? Thank the Lord. Yes, we need inventory. This is not a bad thing. This is something we've been like, oh my gosh, if only we had more houses. We're starting to.
Well, just so you know, I actually talked to a builder over the weekend, and I inquire, and she's a sales manager for a large builder. Inquire about what are they doing at this time. One thing she did mention was that what they're seeing less volume traffic to the new subdivision, but for the volume that does come in are serious buyer
Mhm.
versus lucky lose. And also not only that, I said, what about new first time home star property? They said they're actually looking at billing those around 200 to 50. But unfortunately, they would not be in Henry
Yeah.
County. They would be down south of Henry County. But it does provide incentive
Mhm.
for those that don't mind the drive for a little bit. I know gas is
Yeah.
high right now, but
Yeah. One thing that we got to remember is that we're still in the summer buying season. 55% of homes are selling at or above list price right now.
mhm,
But this is one of those where if the house is well maintained and priced properly, it's going to sell. That's the bottom line. If we throw in, if we let our clients throw out really high prices, trying to drive the market up, that's not going to work right now. We're not seeing that because we're seeing that we're seeing this is the number of 6% of listings are having price drops. Those folks that threw it out there without and trying to really jump out ahead of the market,
right.
they've had to do price reduction. So we're seeing more and more properties that were overpriced. So it really is coming down to price.
Absolutely.
Now, speaking of price, and I want you to pay really close attention to this because this is some really important data here. And so this is the inventory of homes for sale. And what I want you to see is look at this, and this is from the Georgia Association of Realtors. So what's going on with the different price points? Because that's something that we've been talking about
Mhm.
for months now, is that there's going to be a price disparity depending on the inventory level. And so you can see that if you look at the number of homes that are for sale, under 125,000. Yeah. Now this is for the entire state of Georgia. Under 125, that's down
And
10%.
we're talking about the one under 125 are in rural
Yeah.
area, extreme like Allen down outside of Macon
Yeah.
or outside of
Yeah.
just very rural area. I do
Well,
see some transaction in there.
but yeah, exactly. And so But then if you look at 125 to 200,000, that's down 32%. 200,000 to 300,000, that's down 20%. And 300,000 and up, that's up 30%.
Yep.
That's an increase. So we're seeing where, anything under 300 is still a huge seller's market. That 300 is kind of like a big break. I mean,
Yeah.
state-wise, I mean, every market's different, and 300 is not realistic in, say, Alpharetta or Sandy Springs. I
Correct.
got that. That's not
300
entry
would
level.
be-
But overall,
Low
as the
end.
state, but for the state, like 300 is like a big break in price point. And once anything under that price point, it just has huge demand. And if you would like to see it another way, here's our months of supply, right? And so again, down 4.8. Well, we do have a little bit more supply from 0.8 to 0.9 in the under $200,000. We have no change in supply.
In 2 to 3.
And then we are seeing the greatest increase is really in the months of supply for 300 up. So, the numbers, we've been seeing this kind of going on. But that being said, right now home sales are still at pre-pandemic levels. Okay. So you see where the number of sales for the last, but we've seen where it's been going down a little bit. Not drastically, but we are still before where we were when the pandemic hit. Household growth at the same time remaining really, really strong. These are the number of households. Right now, the millennial generation is our largest generation, and they're all between 28 and 32 years old.
Yep. Over
the next 4 years, that group is all reaching 33, and 33 is that magic number because that's the first time home buyer age. The number of homeowners are continuing to climb. So, that same thing. But, if you watch too much of the news, you're going to see a lot of things going on. Like,
Absolutely.
the cooling market enters into the great deceleration. We're hearing that word, the great deceleration. Deceleration, the market's decelerating. This is decelerating. Okay. Deceleration is really just, it's not growing as fast as it used to. And so it doesn't mean that it's going down, right? Decelerating home prices doesn't mean depreciating home prices. That's a very different thing, right? And honestly, we've needed this for a while. We can't maintain 15, 18, 20% property value increases year over year over year without having, I don't know, inflation.
An adjustment.
Yeah.
So therefore, here is the adjustment.
Right.
But just because adjustment came doesn't mean that the house market is going to go down.
Yeah, exactly. Matter of fact, this is kind of the most recent projections on what's going on estimated home prices for, to total out for this year's probably going to end up being about 9.3%. Now we've had several, half the year in double digits. So that means that we're going to be going down into that 3-4%. And we think that that's actually right where we need to be. And it's very healthy for our market. So, if you look at the forecast moving forward, it's going to be in that 3 to 5% range, property value appreciation range. We're not looking at it dropping. At the same time, we know inflation is a big deal. But what happens in the past when we had higher inflation? Well, even right now with high inflation, we also get higher home price appreciation. And at the same time, once you have your mortgage, as long as you don't have the arm, the chances are that that's your protection because your monthly mortgage isn't going to go up, even though your home prices will, kind of thing. So don't understand. And this is another thing I kind of wanted to share with you really quickly, and that this is the recession. What happens in the past with recessions? Okay, and so the longer the recession, normally the length of the recession is highly determined by how terrible really the job market is. Our job market's really, really strong. So even though we may enter into a recession, we're not looking at it being a huge driver for housing at all, because supply versus demand is what's driving our housing.
Think about, everybody needs a roof over their head.
Yep.
And that's the bottom line.
Yep. All right. So some news out from FMLS we wanted to share. So
and Georgia MLS. It goes for both.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Okay. E-Key Reciprocity is live in Middle Georgia MLS. For folks, a lot of our agents are up here in the Atlanta area kind of thing. And for a long time, agents up here couldn't show properties around the Macon area kind of thing. And so now Middle Georgia, Middle Georgia MLS couldn't, those folks couldn't open lock boxes up here. We couldn't open lock boxes down there. And now E-Key Reciprocity is live through Middle Georgia as well as up here for the Macon agents. So just if you're operating in multiple markets.
If you need to go Middle Georgia MLS and show the property there.
You can actually open a lock box now.
You can actually open lock box. They're super now. So that's the good news. Thank you.
All right. Now, as home prices have increased, we also know that rents have increased. And rents are a pretty big deal. And so even though we're starting to see property value appreciations level off, we're going to keep seeing rents go up because rents move up for 3 to 9 months. This is where the rents are right now. And you can see that overall rent is up, about 16% year over year. And it was up the same amount last year kind of thing. So, the idea that renters can just ride out this wave and I'm just going to rent and save some money.
You're not.
That's really not going to happen.
Renting is going to cut into your disposable income, so therefore you can't have any savings.
Well, and one thing that we did kind of want to share with you here, kind of thing. This is a share of households with cost burdens. Look at the number of folks who have cost burdens who are renters versus homeowners. Homeowners have the smallest share of cost burdens. So overall, it's better off to own your property than it is to be a renter. And we see that again and again right now. We know that with the rising of interest rates, with property value appreciation, that makes it tougher for our first time buyers, especially right now. And I'm empathetic. I really do understand. But at the same time, wealth in the United States is tied up in home ownership. And if we really care about people, we want them to be buying and owning their own property. So it's a big deal. Wanted to share with you, this is from Mike Dupree. He keeps track of all the iBuyers and that kind of stuff. And so Opendoor's buy to list premium has kind of fallen down a good bit. And we find that to be pretty interesting because during the height of the pandemic, that kind of stuff, they shut down and then they started buying and through this whole property value appreciation stage, they've done really, really well. They buy it and then they'd sit on it for a couple of months and the market would keep moving back. That's stopped happening. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Opendoor because Opendoor actually still never made any money. They're just not losing as much as they had been in the past. So we're going to see what kind of goes on with that. But I just figured I'd kind of share that with you a little bit. At the same time, our home builder sentiment is dropping to its lowest level in 2 years. This one's not particularly good news because we need the builders to be building right now. But what we really need the builders to be building is
first time home buyer
and actually we're starting to see that. So I know one builder that just canceled 5 neighborhoods that were all priced over 400,000, and they're only building now on properties that that's going to appeal that market. The builders are starting to look at what can I sell under 350, under 300, that kind of stuff.
With a hike in interest rate, once again, it does impact on what a buyer can afford. I mean,
folks they're changing their focus.
Well, folks that can afford 400,000 back in December can now offer about 325, 300,
360, $44,000 to average.
And it just depends if there were, anyways, that interest rate has really took a nick on a lot of folks.
Well, we understand that, but what it's changed is it's changed expectations. And that's one thing that we have to carry forward and also have to realize that, if you could afford, like Ming said, 400 before, you can't afford 400 now. And even though it's been there's been a knee-jerk reaction, it's been a hard pill to swallow, this is where we're at. And so this is the house that you can afford now. And so people have had to change expectations. The builders are going through the same thing right now.
Correct.
We wanted to share a quick resource with you. And so if you have like we had some clients reach out this
Mhm.
past week looking for Georgia HOA laws and resources. And so where we normally send them to is hopb.co/Georgia. They've got a lot of resources in there where you can find HOA laws and regulations, government agencies that will help out, things going, all these things about HOAs. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not purporting to be a lawyer, and I'm not giving any legal advice. I'm just saying this is a great resource to be able to direct your clients to if they have questions about HOAs and they're trying to do some research and that kind of stuff. This is the resource that we share with clients, and we wanted to share that
And
with
I
you
will tell
too.
you, in the conversations with several of my friends that are living in neighborhood that previously had no rental restriction, they're now putting in their bylaw on rental restriction,
Mhm.
not allowing a percent. Well, what they say, no renter period. Then I kind of brought up to them, say, what happened to parent deceased, and then give the property to some other their kids
Well,
who does not.
we're seeing a lot of things
Yeah,
built in that way.
right.
Some are going after short-term rentals, some are going after long-term rentals. We're
Right.
seeing a lot of that kind of stuff.
So what I recommend is a small percentage that's rental available, just
Not my
because,
call.
that a way that gives a little more flexibility, but at the same time, maintain the overall neighborhood.
Yeah. All right. This week on training. So on tomorrow, we have real intro to social media. That's going to be in person over at our Noonan office. And then on Wednesday, we have introduction to Connect MLS. That's here at our McDonough office. And both of those will be at 9:30 in the morning. So we hope that you
Yep,
can
please do come to MLS
can
because
join
they
us.
change your platform a little bit. And so you
Yep.
might learn a little more shortcuts and quick help tips.
Yeah, I know a
that
lot
will
of folks
help you.
are not really embracing Connect
Yeah.
MLS yet. They're still just using Paragon the old way kind of thing,
We
which you can.
actually, I
Yeah.
see both sides, and Connect MLS is not too bad, just a
Yeah.
different formatting.
So hope you guys have a great week. If you need anything, please give us a call, text, smoke signals. We answer it all.
Thank you very
Have a
much,
great
and
week.
have a great Monday.
Yeah.